So AI is being built all over the world, right? By thousands of different people. But who gets to write its moral code? Who decides what's right and wrong for the machines that are going to shape, well, everything? It's probably one of the biggest questions of our time. And let me tell you, the answer is way more complicated than you'd think.
All right, let's just jump right in. Because this isn't some, sci-fi movie stuff. We're talking about systems that are making huge decisions about people's lives right now. And that means they're making decisions about your life.
I mean, for real, just think about this for a second. That job application you spent hours on, the one you perfected, it might never even get seen by a human being. It could get a yes or a no from an algorithm. And here's the catch. We're seeing studies that show these AI hiring tools, if you're not super careful building them, can basically just soak up decades of biased hiring data. They can learn to penalize resumes that say things like women's chess club captain, or even discriminate based on someone's ethnic background. This isn't something that might happen. It's happening.
Okay, so with problems like that popping up, the world actually did something pretty amazing. It tried to create one single universal rulebook for AI. A global playbook, to make sure this technology actually helps us instead of, well, hurting us.
And I mean, the scale of this thing was just massive. We're talking 193 countries. That's every single member of UNESCO. They all came together and agreed on a single foundational text for AI ethics. I mean, that's huge, a totally unprecedented step toward a global agreement. And when you look at the core principles, they feel so universal. You see them championed by groups like the OECD, too. Things like, protecting human rights, being fair, being transparent. It just sounds like common sense, right? I mean, who's going to argue with any of that? And this quote here from the OECD just nails that shared global goal. It sets a really high bar. The aim is an AI that helps build a fair and just society for everyone. So it kind of seems like we've got our answer, right? Case closed? Or is it? And this is where the whole story gets really interesting. Because just when the world finally agreed on the words, this much deeper, much trickier question started bubbling up. What do those words actually mean in practice? Think about it. Is what we call fairness in Tokyo the exact same thing as fairness in Toronto or in Nairobi? Does privacy mean the same thing to someone in Europe as it does to someone in China? Suddenly, that beautiful, simple agreement, it starts to get really complicated. So here's the absolute heart of the issue. This isn't just about code, it's about culture. If the global rulebook for AI is written mainly from one cultural perspective, and let's be honest, that's often a Western, individual-focused one, then you risk basically exporting those values everywhere through tech. It could become a new kind of colonialism, where it's algorithms, not armies, that impose a dominant worldview. So to really get a handle on this, let's go on a quick world tour. We're going to listen in on some of the different ethical accents, if you will, that are shaping this whole conversation around AI. Okay, this chart really spells it out. If you look at research into Chinese AI ethics, for example, you see a huge emphasis on things like social harmony, stability, the good of the group. Now, contrast that with a more typical Western focus, which often puts the spotlight on individual rights, personal autonomy, freedom of speech. And look, the key here is that neither one is right or wrong. They're just fundamentally different starting points. And it's not just a simple East-West divide either. Let's head over to Africa, where you have the philosophy of Ubuntu. It offers this incredibly profound way of looking at AI ethics. The core idea is often translated as, I am because we are. It's this beautiful concept that a person is a person through other people. My humanity is completely tied up with yours. It's not about me, it's all about us. So, what would an AI built on the idea of Ubuntu even look like? Well, it's an AI that's constantly asking questions like, does this make our community stronger? Does this tech lift everybody up together? Is this going to connect us or drive us apart? It's a fundamental shift in the whole goal, away from just individual convenience toward the well-being of the entire community.
And you see another version of this focus on the collective in India. Their AI for all strategy isn't just a list of abstract ideas. It's a very practical plan to use AI as a tool for huge, societal-level development. The ethical driver is all about inclusive growth. We're talking about using AI to tackle massive challenges in healthcare, in agriculture, in education, for more than 1 billion people.
Okay, so if one single global playbook isn't the answer, then what is? Do we just throw our hands up and let it be a free-for-all? Absolutely not. The real path forward is just, well, it's more nuanced, it's way more collaborative, and honestly, it's a lot more interesting.
Probably the best way to think about it is like a global potluck dinner, right? You don't want everyone to show up with the exact same potato salad. The whole point, the richness of it, comes from the diversity of all the different dishes. The goal here is to set a shared table where all these different worldviews, Western, Chinese, African, Indian, and more, can all bring something essential to the feast. So what's the recipe for making this happen? It really comes down to 3 key ingredients. First, you have to just be honest and acknowledge that our values are different. That's step 1. Second, we have to build real places for an ongoing conversation, not just some one-off conference. And third, we need to create standards together that are less like rigid laws and more like flexible guidelines, so different cultures can adapt them in a way that actually makes sense for them. And this UNESCO quote just brings it all home perfectly. This idea that we have all these different perspectives on ethics, that isn't a problem we need to solve. That is our greatest strength. It's the raw material we have to work with to build an AI that's truly robust, that's resilient, and that actually serves all of humanity. So I want to leave you with one final thought. Just for a second, forget about the big global frameworks. Think about your own background, your own community. What is the one core value from your culture that you think the people building AI absolutely have to understand? If you were coming to that global potluck, what's the essential dish that you would bring to the table?